Hey, my name's Kevin, and welcome to our next installment of the Chord Formulas mini-series, and today we're going to talk about 7th chords. So I know we come across chords at times that have numbers after them, and that might confuse you a little bit. Why is there a letter and a number put together? What does that mean? Well, again, we're going to relate back to the major scale, so you're going to know exactly what to do here. So let's take a look at some 7th chords today, and let's get right to the piano and kind of take a look at the scale. Hey, before we get started, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and click that alert bell so you know when the next video is coming your way. If you're interested in more learning resources, head over to allforuke.com where we have a full searchable library of songs, song sheets, practice tracks, worksheets, and more. All for you, allforuke.com. All right, so let's start off by taking a look at our C major scale. The examples we'll do today will be in the key of C. So the first chord we're going to talk about is C7. So in the major scale, again, we have C as our 1, D as our 2, E as our 3, F as our 4, G as our 5, A as our 6, B as our 7, and then we're back to our root here on C. So the formula for a C7 chord is 1, 3, 5, and then that note that makes it a dominant 7 chord is a flat 7. So we get up here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's just our regular C major chord. So the only thing that you add to that C major chord is the flat 7. Well, we know our B note over here is our 7. So what we do is we move down a semitone, and that takes us here to this B flat note. So that is the note that makes it a dominant 7 chord. So we have C, E, G, and then B flat. And when you play that all together, that's your C7 chord. So that's pretty cool. So basically the rule is it's the same as your major triad, just 1, 3, and 5, C, E, and G, with the addition of that flat 7 note, which is the B flat, and that's what makes it into our C7 chord. So let's take a look at a couple of C7 chord shapes here. So the most common chord shape for C7 that we come across here is just placing our index finger on the A string of the 1st fret. You've heard that sound before. So that's your C7 chord, just written as uppercase C with a 7 after it. So let's take a look at our notes for this chord here and see why it's a C7 chord. So we have our G note here, which is our open string, and we know that is our 5 chord, our 5 note. And then we have our next open string here, which is C. C is our root for the C7 chord. And then we go down here to E, which is just another open string, and that's what we know to be our 3rd. And then finally, we know that we're going to need a flat 7 to make this a C7 chord. And lo and behold, we go A, B flat, and we find that B flat note down here on the 1st fret. So when you play that C7 chord shaped like this, your flat 7 is in your index finger. Now another common one that you might come across is right here by barring the 3rd fret with your index finger, placing your middle finger on the C string of the 4th fret. That looks like this. Sounds similar, but maybe you're playing a tune where you're kind of already using bar chords. This is a nice C7 shape to use up here. Well, let's take a look at this and diagram it through. So our first note here is on the G string of the 3rd fret. So if we count up, we have G, A, there's the B flat. So there's our flat 7 note now, which is on the G string. Then we're going to go to the 4th fret here. So we have C, D, E, and we know that's our 3rd. And we go to our open E string, F, G. So that's going to be the 5th of our chord. So we have our flat 7, our root, and our 5th. And then on the bottom string, we go A, B, C. And then we have our root. So that makes up our C dominant 7 shape right there. So same notes, just placed a little differently within the chord. So you can do the same thing now with some other variations of these chord shapes. Maybe look up a couple different versions of C7 and go through them. I'll leave a few versions on a worksheet on the website if you want to check that out and kind of go through and diagram some different chord shapes for these C7 chord. If you're digging the sound of my uke, head over to allforuke.com/shop. You can have a Kali ukulele for yourself. When you buy your Kali ukulele through All for Uke, you're supporting us, and we really appreciate it. Make sure you check it out. Concerts, sopranos, tenors, baritones, a wide selection of accessories, capos, and more. All for you, allforuke.com/shop. So the next version of dominant 7 chord that you might see is written as C minor 7 or C lowercase m with a 7 after it. So that's different than the C7. However, they are both dominant 7 chords. Now, the only difference between the 7 chord and the minor 7 chord is our C chord has to be a minor. So to make a minor chord, again, we use our first, which is C, the root. Then we use our flat third here, which is E flat. Because remember, our third is here on E, so we flat the third, and that becomes E flat. And I'm just going to switch my finger for placement here. And then we have the 5, which we know is G. So we start off by just making our minor triad. So we have C minor there. Now, to make this into the dominant 7 chord, we're just going to use that same B flat note that we used for the major chord, and that will turn this chord into a minor 7. So here we have C, E flat, G, and B flat. So when you play that all together, you have that beautiful sounding C minor 7. So there's a C minor 7, and just for the sake of hearing it, let's move our finger over here to the major third and listen to what that sounds like compared to the regular C dominant 7. So there's our C7. Now if we just move this one note, we have C minor 7. Pretty cool stuff. So let's talk about some minor 7 chord shapes now. So the one that I always find to be the most common here is by just barring the entire 3rd fret with your index finger, and that C minor 7 sounds like this. So if you listen to the minor 7 versus the dominant 7, a little different sound, but they both have that characteristic of the flat 7 in there. So very close, but you have that difference between major and minor. So let's diagram this through here. So we go on our G string, G, A, B flat. So we find that B flat note is our flat 7. All right, and then on our C string here, we go open C, D, E flat. And we know our E flat is our flat 3rd. So when we did the major, we saw that our 3rd was here. So here's a little trick. You pull that off of your C7 chord, you have a C minor 7 chord. Little pro tip there. You have now your flat 7, your flat 3rd, and then we move down to our E string. We have E, F, G. That's our 5th. And then down here, we need one more note to make this into the minor 7 C, and we have what we know, A, B flat, B, C, and that's our root. So here we are with our C minor 7 shape. So let's check out another version of that minor 7 shape. Now this one's kind of a finger bender, but pretty cool shape to use. So this is another version right here of the C minor 7. We take our index finger, place it on the 5th fret of the G string, ring finger on the C string 7th fret, and then we have our middle finger barring the bottom 2 strings of the 6th fret. So this is also a C minor 7. A little different, but the same notes. So let's take a look at this one. Now we go from our G string, G, A, B, C. So we know that is our root of the chord. So that's 5th fret G string is our root. Now we're going to go to the 7th fret of the C string. So we have C, D, E, F, G, and that's our 5th. So we have our root and our 5th here. So we still need our flat third and our flat 7 to make this into our minor 7. So let's check out what happens on the 6th fret of the E string. We have E, F, G, A, B flat. There's our flat 7. So you can hear that dominant 7 come into the chord. Now we just need our flat third. So we need an E flat note. So we have A, B, C, D. If we move to the 6th fret, there's our E flat note. So now we go through this. We have our root, our 5th, our flat 7, and our flat third to complete that minor 7 chord. So again, minor 7 there, and another C minor 7 right there. You can try to find some other variations of the minor 7 across the neck, and I'll find a couple more of those shapes to put on a worksheet on the website. I thank you guys so much for joining me for this series. If you guys want more, let me know. We're diagramming all sorts of chords here, and I feel like it's a really good thing to understand more about how the notes play into the chords, because as you go on in your playing, you're going to find 13 chords, 9 chords, 11 chords. As you get into jazz, there's lots of different variations of chords, but this is a great foundation to start off with in understanding the numerical aspect of chord naming as well as the major and minor aspect of chord naming. Well, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate you learning with me. My name's Kevin, and I'll see you next time.
Let's get